Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Had the Ninetails and the Shinigami sealed inside him, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Take flight, Vengado. Sasuke said as his Ryatsu shot out like a raging waterfall, so to say. So this is an Arrancar's released form. Naruto said to himself in shock as he shielded his face with his arm just in case any debris hit him. The smoke cleared and Sasuke stood having a threatening new look. Wings sprouted from his back and the mask covered half of his face in a graceful design. His left eye was normal and his right eye had a kaleidoscope-like Sharingan on his right eye. It was in fact a Mangekyo. He also had spikier purple hair and a darker-skinned face with a ninja star-like imprint in the middle of his face. When he went curse mark level 2, his body is basically like that. The white hollow substance spread across his body with a black vein-like trim. It covered his whole body except his chest and the left side of his face and hair. This is the power of an espada. Sasuke shouted and Naruto was immediately paralyzed with a fear that just emitted from his body. A black fire sprouted from the ground. Naruto was oddly too scared to move and he found that it engulfed it. Sasuke laughed but it abruptly stopped as he saw himself standing in water and in a murky chamber with an insanely pale man with a black haori. Where am I? Sasuke said, looking around swiftly. A place you certainly don't want to be, the pale man said in a creepy distorted voice. Who are you? Sasuke asked as a force appeared in front of him. Eventually the image caught up with him as the pale man looked at Sasuke with his yellow eyes. I'm Naruto's inner hollow, and I don't like visitors. The man said and pushed him back, making Sasuke slam into a wall but immediately fly in the air and draw his Zanpakuto. Naruto's inner hollow grinned and leaped up into the air, unsheathing his white katana hilt with a black blade. He looked different. He had his regular Soul Reaper clothes on but had a black sleeveless haori with the 5th squad insignia on the back. They clashed blades. Sasuke flew to the middle of the area thinking the hollow would just fall, but Naruto's inner hollow, since in Bleach Ichigo's inner hollow was the name of Zangetsu, I will just call Naruto's inner hollow Kyuubi, so it's the same concept, you know. Leaped in front of Sasuke and slashed at him. He seemed to float in air as he striked at him with insane speeds. What are you? Sasuke asked, hardly blocking each strike that was sent to him. I told you, I'm Naruto's inner hollow, I'm the other side of the Kyuubi, so call me Kyuubi. He said, then axe kicked him to the ground and dove down at him. Sasuke immediately landed and clashed blades with Kyuubi again as they viciously slashed at each other, getting minor cuts and SCRS. Sasuke kicked him back, then dashed toward him in the air and grabbed his collar and slammed him into a wall. Kyuubi immediately espered his sword through Sasuke's hand, then palm thrusted Sasuke upwards so his hand was almost sped off. Kyuubi raced towards him and punched him repeatedly with his right hand. He then jumped up and kicked him back. Naruto has something this powerful inside him, Sasuke said to himself as his got slashed across the chest and basically pummeled. I can't allow Naruto to get beaten up like this since I live in him for the moment, so I would advise you to leave the kid alone or I'll take matters into my own hands. Kyuubi said, smirking. You and I both know I won't do that, Sasuke said, and then was immediately SD in half, his vision dimming and he faded back into the real world. Naruto, let me take over this fight, I promise. I won't take over your body. I wanna teach this guy a lesson on who he's dealing with. You're already hurt and you'll if you don't accept my help. You know that, Kyuubi said to Naruto as they talked in Naruto's conscious. Fine, I haven't learned to totally control this mask and I think I should, since I won't always have Bon, Kai, but I'll worry about that later. Just don't F this up, okay? Naruto said. Kyuubi grinned, okay. Sasuke saw himself back in Hukomundo and still seeing the black flames burn Naruto to a crisp, which made him smile. Hey, that stupid fool was only bluffing, Sasuke said, then turned around to walk away until he heard the same voice Kyuubi had. Hey kid, where do ya think you're going? The voice said as the black flames dissipated and Naruto stood there but with a mask on. Yet not just any mask. This mask covered his whole face with the same design as Ichigo's. It was pitch black with red stays barely going around the left side. What? How could you have escaped that fire? Sasuke shouted as he looked at Naruto's wound to see that it was bleeding once more. He grinned then disappeared. You're not trying to go for that wound, are you, Sasuke, Uchiha? Naruto said and placed his hand on Sasuke's head that was crouched down and ready to deep into that wound. Naruto turned and looked at him with those soulless yellow eyes. Sasuke grunted as his eyes widened and a red ray of light emitted from Naruto's palm and a Sero blasted out that should have incinerated Sasuke. The Uchiha flash stepped, barely leaving part of his body badly damaged as he hovered high in the sky. Naruto stood still as he just looked over at Sasuke, who was flying around waiting for a good time to strike. Naruto leaped up into the air and began to clash blades with Sasuke as the two violently slashed at each other. Flash stepped so wildly you could only see a faint image of them fighting like before. Naruto's conscience seeped back into his body as he watched himself fight Sasuke, which felt really weird, not having control of your body. They clashed blades once more and they looked at each other. Sasuke gave an oddly peaceful gaze toward Naruto. It was like he had realized what he has done but was too embarrassed to admit his wrongdoings and just went with it or something of the sort. He could be faking, but Naruto just looked at the confused Uchiha. Sasuke, what have we become? Fighting like this? Everything used to be so simple back at Konoha, before we went on that mission. Now things have been so complex. The moment I came back to save you and Sakura from Gaara, I saw a hint of jealousy in your face. I didn't think it would come to this, Sasuke. You turned on me and I ked you, and you came back like this, ravaging with anger. I guess it's partially my fault for making you like this. I'm sorry. Naruto said to himself as he watched his inner hollow and Sasuke fight, still in his body. Sasuke and Naruto dashed back a bit as Naruto's mask began to crack. Naruto growled as he gripped his sword and swinged at the air rapidly, having black waves of Ryatsu go towards Sasuke. The Uchiha dodged them all in an aerial fashion, then had his right hand engulfed with black electricity as he appeared in front of Naruto and espered his mask, making it crack and fall off of his face. It also made Naruto's head begin to bleed as he looked at Sasuke with eyes wide. There went your special power. Got any more tricks up your sleeve, Naruto? Sasuke said, grinning. I got a few, but I'm not about to show you. Naruto said as he quickly slashed Sasuke's stomach, also making the red Ryatsu dig into the wound he left. The slash was faster than Minato could run. Sasuke's eyes widened as he looked down and was thrusted back, almost in half by the wave. His stomach was brutally bloody as he knelt down and panted heavily. Then he looked up at Naruto, getting aggravated just like in their last fight. Why have you become this much stronger, Naruto? How? I had the upper hand and you've been holding this back. You're in a hollow and some reserve Ryatsu that let you do that attack just now. What are you hiding from me, Naruto? Show me your power. Sasuke shouted. Naruto stood still and was disappointed at Sasuke, but he couldn't help it. He outstretched his arms and looked down. All of the memories of Sasuke and Team 7 flashed in his brain. The times that both of them had fun together, but neither of them would admit it. Sasuke was the reason Naruto strived to be stronger. He was like a brother to him, a special friend. Sasuke, Naruto said deep in his thoughts. Bon Kai, Naruto said as he immediately went into Bon Kai, with his chakrams and his demon eye and his intense chakra-infused Ryatsu. You guys should already know what his Bon Kai should look like, so I shouldn't have to describe it to you again. Equals D. X. What is this? This power, you possies? This is your Bon Kai. Sasuke shouted, surprised that Naruto had this much power in him and that he had gotten to the level of Bon Kai. I wasn't promoted to captain for nothing, Sasuke, Naruto said, coughing a bit from the big wound at his ribs that had more blood coming out due to the Bon Kai transformation. He looked at his wound and twitched, then thought, if I go on much longer, this wound will eat away at me. I got to finish this now. Naruto wasted no time as he swung his arms forward as the chakrams spun around wildly with the intensity of a ravaging chainsaw as the chains amplified its speed as it stretched all the way towards Sasuke. The Uchiha grinned, then put his sword in front of him and yelled, purple Ryatsu shooting out of his body, making his stomach wound bleed a bit and some cuts being produced from the sudden burst of energy. Sasuke ran insanely fast toward Naruto. He saw the chakrams coming and raised his sword, then slashed at the chakrams. Sparks flew, as he looked at it, fully aware of the other one coming toward him. When the chakrams came close enough, Sasuke jumped up, having the two chakrams hit each other. Sasuke hovered in the air then darted toward Naruto holding his sword so when he got in front of Naruto he would S him through the chest. As Sasuke was about to S him, Naruto thrusted his arms backwards so that chakrams would go in reverse. Sasuke looked behind him then spun around and clashed his blade with the two chakrams. He flipped over Naruto then flew in the air as he saw the chakrams chase him, also seeing Naruto direct them. It is almost impossible to get near him with his chakrams defending him like that, unless. Sasuke thought then disappeared and appeared in front of him as they were face to face. He attempted to S him but then saw a force block it. It was the two chakrams. They had been there a few seconds before Sasuke appeared in front of him. The Uchiha also felt a burning feeling when he was near Naruto, like his Ryatsu was furiously burning. What? Your chakrams were all the way over there. How could you block that? Sasuke shouted frustrated. My Ryatsu and my chakra, fused together, are so immense that they must be condensed into two weapons when released into Bon Kai. My speed is doubled of my original, and even though I have two chakrams holding in most of my chakra and Ryatsu, plenty of it is still seeping out within me. You can't win. Naruto said blankly as he saw Sasuke growl and put more pressure into the sword, making Naruto step back a bit, only to thrust his arms forward to make him fall back. Naruto then darted toward him and clashed his chakram with Sasuke's sword. The spinning edge of the chakram made sparks fly more. Naruto threw his other chakram slicing at Sasuke's wound, making him spin back. Naruto threw his other one slicing at his back. He then continued to pattern, going insanely fast as Sasuke was thrown to the left or to the right depending on which chakram hit him at the time. Naruto sped up the process as blood flew everywhere. Naruto raised the chakrams up and slammed them down as Sasuke blocked it. The weapons clashed as Sasuke growled, all his Ryatsu channeling into his Zanpakuto. I've come too far, I shall not S, damn it. I won't S. Sasuke yelled as his blade turned purple and his knees bent as the sand around him made an indentation on the ground which made Sasuke go deeper in the ground. Naruto's chakrams turned red as the Shinigami began to channel his remaining chakra and Ryatsu through the chains and into the chakrams, making them glow bright red. Naruto walked forward a bit to try and gain momentum, with the chakrams still wildly spinning on Sasuke's blade, a few feet from where Naruto stood. Eventually the sand began to turn to glass by the heat of the two weapons. Naruto was amazed at the sight with this little section where Sasuke and Naruto were begun to turn to glass. Sasuke began to revert back to his normal Arrancar form, very slowly as that energy had been channeling into the sword. Sasuke stood up straight and began to gain the upper hand, his right eye bleeding from the Mangekyo in his released state. After a few minutes of the clash, the ground around Sasuke went deeper into the ground and he fell to one knee. The sparks flew in his face, the specks burning a bit when it hit his skin. Sasuke shouted knowing that this was the end. He released his resistance and let the chakrams S him through. Naruto felt that Sasuke stopped to resist and his chakrams had laid a direct hit. Naruto immediately reverted to his normal Shinigami form and espered the sword onto the ground and panted heavily. After a few minutes he walked over into the medium-sized crater and looked down. He saw Sasuke lying there, but to his surprise he began to evaporate, and after a few minutes he had disappeared. Naruto was too tired to think about it, so he looked down and saw his reflection in the glass. He looked pretty banged up, blood sped from his gash to the ribs. He fell back and looked up at the cloudless sky. How am I gonna get out of here? I can sit here all day, but the Espada, the Arrancars, they'll find me. I have to get out of here. Naruto mumbled to himself, then grunted and got up. He then looked back. Whatever you came here for, Kurosaki, I hope you succeed. I can't help you. Not today, Naruto said, looking at the white dome. He then started to slowly jog away from here. After a few minutes Naruto was back in the desert wasteland. He had flash stepped and ran for most parts. The sun was beating on his back and more importantly his wound. His sword was sheathed and blood slowly tricked from his wound still. He was completely unaware of the figures that stood a mile away from him. He thought he was having a hallucination. Well, there's your sword, why not take it back from the brat while you have a chance? A cloaked figure said, having a black robe with red clouds on it, and red hair and piercings. No, not yet. He is weak and defenseless. I couldn't savor the moment without killing him. Let's leave him be. Soon I will have his head. That is a promise. The other orange-masked figure said. The person opened up a garganta, then the two stepped through it. Naruto was breathing heavily and he fell to his knees and looked at the sky. He closed his eyes and fell forward, and became unconscious. XXX. So how's the kid doing now? Kyoraku asked, walking over to his lieutenant. Well, I got a 4th squad member to heal him, but that wasn't enough. Naruto took a beating. What was he doing in Hukomundo anyway? Nanao asked, looking over at Kyoraku. I know as much as you know. You'll have to ask him when he wakes up. I have to run, but can you look after him for me? Kyoraku asked, turning around about to leave. Of course. Nanao said, and then looked over at Naruto, who was only wearing some baggy pants. His whole midsection was wrapped in medical tape, and he had bandages over every major cut. The Shinigami was lying on his bed in his captain quarters. After 5 hours, Naruto finally woke up. He saw Nanao, and looking closely he saw Momo about to come in, but deciding to stay back, and she shut the door. Nanao, where am I? Naruto asked, a bit dazed. You're in your room. Kyoraku and I found you in Hukomundo. Momo told me you went there through a garganta. Why? Sasuke, he killed Sakura, beheaded her, he held her head high, then walked through the garganta. I took care of Orochimaru. I couldn't let that go unexcused. I jumped through the garganta in hopes to end Sasuke and his madness. I arrived in Hukomundo, and after a while me and Sasuke fought, for hours until I finally killed him. Naruto said, realized a bandage was covering the right side of his face and his end from burn marks. That was a foolish thing to do, Naruto. You could have SD. I had to do that. I had no choice. My body just thrusted me forward into the garganta. Instinct, you could say. Well, that must have been a pretty good and exhausting fight. By the way, who is this Sasuke? I've heard about him vaguely by Sakura. He was my best friend, but he was tainted by power. When I went back to save him and Sakura from Gaara, he saw me and how I grew powerful. He immediately got jealous. I saw it in his eyes. After a while he went with Orochimaru and they plotted against Konoha. Me and a few others went and were confronted by lower Arancars. I met Sasuke at the Valley of the End, and killed him, or so I thought. He became an Arankar, and over the years, an Espada. An Espada? You fought, and killed an Espada. Amazing, no wonder. It took you all of your energy. Your Ryatsu and chakra are barely noticeable. Kyoraku told me to tell you that you should lay low. He convinced the 1st squad captain to give you a vacation until you have fully recovered. You can't fight hollows in your state. Maybe you could go see some friends back at Konoha. Just a thought. Yeah, I might do that. I might ask Jiraiya to train me. Train? Why would you train in your state? I'm going to go to the human world. I'll be back when I've recovered. Naruto said, then leaped up from bed, wincing but holding that in. He grabbed his Shinigami clothes and put his captain's Haori on, then Flash stepped off. Nanao sighed. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.